DC sports coverage around episode 235, season 6. And we're back bringing you the best DC sports coverage around. We got the Nats playing live. Nats and Phillies tied 1-1 going into the bottom of the seventh, I believe. We had a so-so weekend review for the cat with the Nationals with the 4-3 week, but they had a lot going on in the trade deadline that I know a lot of fans are upset about. So we definitely want to talk about that tonight also. And we got some great Olympics coverage by Robbie in the round table. They're going to talk about the basketball team. They're going to talk about the Olympics in general. We also going to talk a little bit of Washington football team with training camp in full swing. Talk about some of the issues with COVID this team is facing. We heard Coach Rivera has some words going in a couple of press conferences during the week, but we'll get into that. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Robbie G, how you doing tonight, good sir?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been an interesting night trying to get a toddler into bed. Anybody who's a parent would understand a little bit about that. But other than that, it's going well. We had a fun weekend. You can see behind me, we got the big three. Zach turned 3 this week. And so happy birthday to him. And we did it big. We went to the baseball game, the Frederick Keys, or not the Frederick Keys, and they were awesome. I'm happy to report that Zach is now 2-0 at Keys games, and they had fireworks, and he got to meet the manager and the players, and got the high five, and we got front row tickets. We even got a ball from the game, and he had fun in the carousel. So it was a fun time. Threw an awesome party for him. He had a blast. He got a roller coaster for his birthday, and he got a big boy room for his birthday. And so, if anyone wants to see any of the pictures or anything like that, you can always check out my Instagram. My Instagram handle has changed now. It's now Robbie G underscore SportsOTHP to match my Twitch handle because people didn't know who Ebersorg was. So I decided to make the jump and make it the same as what we're having on Twitch. So we're live on Twitch as well. We're live on Facebook Live. We're live on Carol's channel. Carol, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's been a rough couple of weeks. A lot of things going on, sports wise, life wise, but we got a great show. Things is what it is, man. All we can do is just keep moving forward and do the best we can do and keep doing right, and then eventually everything will work itself out. But
Yeah, for sure.
we're going to go ahead and get into some of the Washington football team news. Just a little brief synopsis. They're in training camp. Uh, I was trying to get down there this year, but unfortunately, I couldn't get to Richmond. I might still see if I better sneak off to Ashburn if I get a chance to the training camp coming up to Ashburn this week. They were down in Richmond for the first week of training camp. From some of the reports that I've seen, I haven't really had a chance to talk to any of my insiders yet about the training camp. It's still early, so I didn't want to bug them early. They got a lot going on. But from what I've been hearing, Kendall Fuller has been lining up in the slot, which is, in my opinion, and a lot of other folks' opinion, slot nickel is corner is his best position. Be on the outside, he's good, but he's better on the inside. They say that the third round pick, Benjamin St. Just, is stepping up big time and looking like he's going to be a steal of that third round pick. Have him opposite William Jackson III, who they picked up in free agency, who was the top rated defensive back out there. And Washington signed him early. And, that's a very good thing for Del Rio's defense because he loves having physical big corners outside. And with Jackson and St. Just out there, I mean, Kendall Fuller, he's a good corner, but he's only 5'10", 5'11". So, that that is magnified more on the outside than on the inside. So when you have two corners that's 6'1", 200, 10, 15 pounds and long and rangy and can get past deflections and, get between the receiver and the ball, that's a good trait to have in Jack Del Rio's type of defense that he runs. And you'll definitely get a glimpse of that this year with all the pieces that they have in place and with that great front that they have. We mentioned the front. Jonathan Allen signed a extension, 4 years, $72 million with a $30 million guarantee. So that means technically it's a 4 year deal for $42 million, which is about $10 million a year, which is for defensive tackle. If his skill set is still the average defensive tackle, top 10, top 5 to 10 are making between 15 and 18 million a year. So, and he's already still under his 5th year option this year, where he makes, I believe, 10 million. So they extended him. They also extended Logan Thomas, the tight end who had a breakout season last year. He was able to start every game for the first time in his career, and they rewarded him with a 3 year, I believe, I want to say $24 million deal. Yeah, 3 year, $24 million deal. I wrote it down. Didn't think I did, but I'm glad I did. Um, Also heard that Cameron Curl and Landon Collins have both been on the field at the same time. So they have Landon Collins playing more of a strong safety linebacker hybrid role. They have Cameron Curl playing more of a free safety. But they also have Bobby McCain, who is a top rated free safety who they picked up when Miami cut him due to salary cap issues. And that's one of the spots on this team that's been desperately needed for a long time, ever since the passing of Sean Taylor in 2007, and we haven't had, in my opinion, a quality free safety since then. Now this team, has a couple of options. There's going to be some tough cuts to come at the end of training camp because there's a lot of talent out there and serious talent, not just talent that we would think is okay, good for the Washington football team, but no NFL talent that if they get cut here, they'll be somewhere else playing somewhere else instead of flipping burgers like we've seen before with some of the players this team cut. You never hear from them again in the NFL, but they were almost good enough to make the Washington roster. So now you see the talent level, the depth, and the culture change in full effect under Coach Ron Rivera. So if you can't see the improvement, you're in the wrong direction. Let's see. They said Jamin Davis, the first round pick, the linebacker, said that he's playing very well. He's absorbing the playbook, learning from his mistakes. They've been having him in all three linebacker positions. He's been lining up primarily at the Mike position, which is the middle linebacker who makes all the calls on the field for the defense and to get into their alignment and call the defensive plays. We're going to see how that transpires. If he's going to stay in that role, or if they're going to put him at weak side or strong side. Because you still have John Bostic, who Coach Rivera, called his name and said he had his leadership ability is one of the strong suits that is keeping him on this team because he's helping out the rookies and teaching them the things that they need to learn in order to be better linebackers in the league since he's been around for a while. And I'll end Washington football talk on a sour note with if you checked out some of the press conferences during the training camp, Coach Rivera spoke about the his frustration with the low vaccination rate on the team. They're about 50%, which is one of the, if not the lowest in the NFL. And due to that fact, because he's respecting everyone's opinion, if they don't, they have their reasons why they don't want to get it. He's like, okay, well, we have to make sure we, stay safe and do what we're supposed to do. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's working because we have a few players on the COVID-19 reserve list because they popped up with a positive test of the symptoms.
Did they not do this for? I mean, their coach had his entire immunity wiped out. Like the fact that they wouldn't do it for him, for their family, for their elderly family, for if they had kids. Like it blows my mind, especially knowing how much they're gonna have to travel because it's not like it was in baseball a couple of seasons ago or even in hockey last year. They're playing all the teams. They're flying all over. Like I just, it's hard for me. It's very frustrating. I've come across a lot of people that have reasons not to get it or whatever. But I don't know. For me, it's like just get it, and especially if you're traveling a lot, definitely get it. And there's no reason not to. And it may cost the team a lot with these new rules.
Yeah, I spoke about it a little bit on last night's show at the bar radio, but yeah, they're talking about forfeiting games if you don't have enough players to address because of the COVID issues. And Coach Rivera addressed it. A lot of the reporters were asking, how come he isn't more hard-lined about it? Why isn't he making the guys do it? He said he's going to respect everyone's opinion. He talks to the guys, he tries to educate them, but there's a lot of false information out there. And you got to remember, some of these guys are young, and this is all they know is just going on Googling something or going on social media, and then they'll start reading something that's probably not true, but because they see it on social media, they think it's true, and then that persuades them to think that maybe I shouldn't get it. Honestly, I haven't got mine yet, not because I don't want to, just that I haven't had the time to go get it done. But I wear my mask every day at work. I wash my hands, I keep my distance, and do what I'm supposed to do. I've worked all through the COVID. I haven't been home. I haven't been, not.
I still hope that you get it soon too. I'll be consistent across the board. And I understand you're busy. I totally get it. I don't want to dog anybody for it, but I want everybody that's close to me to be safe. Like I would hate for something to happen to you, to any of these people. And
Definitely.
it's it's something that you gotta find time to make time, especially for these. Yeah, I understand you're working 7 days a week, whatever. But these football players have had their time.
Yeah,
They definitely could have done it. Also, the team, maybe they can make a clinic, come in and just get all of them done at once, where they just do it that way. I know my school did that, where we offered it for students to come and do it, on one day, just cut out a time on a weekend, and everyone just comes and does it. Like the team should do something like that. Like you could rent out a facility like like a CVS or any of those companies, and they'll come and bring a certain number of doses and come and vaccinate your people. And I don't know. I just understand why the football team can't do that.
but like I said, some folks have different opinions. Some folks don't want to get it because it's new and they don't know the side effects, which I understand. Some folks listen to some of the disinformation and believe some of the stuff that's not true about it. But a lot of folks just don't know because, they've heard of folks got the vaccination and still got COVID after with the new variant. So a lot of them are
But
worried.
they didn't die, and that's, I think, and I get it that they got the
And
disease, but like the death rate has plummeted of people who get the thing. So I'm just like,
that's
for
what folks
me,
are feeling. They realize they thinking that the vaccination is going to make them immune to it. Like, no, vaccination is going to help. That if you do get it, it isn't fatal and you can fight it off quicker and not have as bad of a reaction to it as the folks that were getting it before. And that's where the disinformation and miscommunication is coming in at.
because basically if you get it after you get it, and let's say you've had it, and they're saying now 60 days is best, right? Before it was 14, and now they're saying if you've had it for 60 days and you catch it again, it's basically like you got the cold. But these people were dying from it before, so like if you can mitigate something from like death to like a cold, and I understand people are like, well, I thought it was like a cold the whole time, but I'm like, I don't understand how you see that these thousands of people aren't dying. Like it's not a cold. Like
There's so much disinformation out there. And when you had a certain person in the White House, making fun of it and saying it's nothing and talking about
I
drink.
still believe if he had made MAGA masks and said that it was the patriotic thing to do it, we would be in such a different place today. If they said that wearing a mask and having a vaccine was the American way, right? Spun it that way,
Mm,
fucking we would have saved thousands of lives. But anyway,
true, but that's another story. But
yeah, I'll
unfortunately,
get off my soapbox. But
let's get back to the sport with that. But it's a topic that affects everybody, and hopefully the team can get their rates up or do what they're supposed to do and don't have any issues going into the season. But as of right now, we have Curtis Samuel starting to see the training camp on the pup list due to COVID. Cornelius Lucas, who's the tackle. Brandon Sheriff, the twice franchise tag guard. Uh, David Sharp. So it's crazy. Three offensive linemen are on that list. And yesterday, this one broke that Deron Payne, defensive tackle, ended up on the COVID-19 reserve list because he had symptoms. I'm not sure if tested positive. I haven't seen anything else come out about it. I just saw that he was placed on the list yesterday. And hopefully they get this thing figured out. Hopefully, more players, more players get vaccinated and can prevent this from happening going into the season, or they practice the social distancing and do what they're supposed to do to stay healthy. If they're not going to get vaccinated, you got to make sure you wear your mask and do what you're supposed to do to make sure you're protecting yourself, your teammates, and your coach. Because that's what I mentioned with him going through chemo last year. His immune system is compromised, so you got to look out for your coach along with yourself. So that's a unique situation that we're in right now.
Dujane says hello. He's actually in my Twitch chat for once. So he's got his gamer tag going on, D Hitman 21. So welcome in.
Cool. What's going on, Dujane? Um, Did you want to do a little bit of cap talk before we get into Nats? You get it all
Yeah,
right.
let's just break down all the latest and big news and transactions, and we'll just get it at the top, and then we can get into the Nats talk. I won't. We'll let the Nats trades and transactions happen with the rest of the guys because we do have Arun and Brian on the line. We'll bring them in just a second. The biggest, obviously, news from the Capitals' perspective is re-signed Alexander Ovechkin to, I believe, another $9.5 million contract for 5 years, which Carol was right exactly what I was saying, right? I said I was hoping between 9 and 11. I was hoping for 4, maybe 5 years, and we were pretty spot on, and we've been pretty consistent with that prediction for some time now. And so I'm just happy they were able to do it. People think it's a little expensive, and I will admit it's a little expensive uh, for the latter part of a career, but I think we kind of underpaid him, before. So for me, it's, we're kind of paying him back a little bit. Like he took a really long contract. People thought that it was too much. It turned out that it was very much the right value for it because the value went up for player contracts. And so, again, I think he was probably worth 11 or 12 million the last couple of seasons for what he was able to do, especially with winning the cup.
Mm.
So they're kind of averaging it out. They're kind of paying him back a little bit, but they didn't break the bank. They're not paying him 12 million now at the end, just because they didn't want to hamstring themselves too much. But yeah, it's a good move. We wanted the captain to retire a Washington Capital. This gives us the opportunity to do it. The other big transaction news is I want to go over how I think our GM is the smartest GM in the league. He wanted to get rid of Dylan to this new Seattle team. They didn't bite. They took Vitek Vanacek because they needed an extra goalie in case they couldn't get one in free agency. They actually go out and get one of the best goalies in free agency, an old friend in Philip Grubauer, and they get him for like somewhere between 5 and 6 million a year for 6 years. Something money that the Washington Capitals just doesn't have, right? So that was impossible. So then they're like, oh, we need to flip Vitek Vanacek. And so we were able to trade Dylan to sort of shed some of that cap space to the Winnipeg Jets. We broke that news last week live on air for 2 draft picks. And we were able to give one of those draft picks back to Seattle to get Vitek Vanacek back and end up with this whole entire scenario with an extra draft pick, Carol. We actually ended up better than where we started with this expansion draft, which I think it's remarkable. We got a free draft pick out of this. I don't know how we did it, but I mean that's freaking brilliant. And people were sad that we lost him. Samsonov, I don't think has gotten signed yet. I know there's arbitration that's happening for I believe that the deal that he put on the table. So people are saying Obi wasn't going anywhere. As anyone who thought differently was wrong. A lot of people are chiming in. I appreciate everybody. And so yeah, they said that the city would have barricaded all airports to make sure that Ovi didn't leave. But I agree. I'm happy that Ovechkin stayed. I'm happy we got Vitek Vanacek back. Hopefully we'll get Sammy. I'm still curious if we'll move Kuzi. One other interesting news and note, not about our team, but I thought it was interesting that Marc-Andre Fleury was basically traded for a bag of pucks to Chicago. It was like a minor leaguer. And he just won the Vezina Trophy, Carol. And they traded him for a minor league player to Chicago, which I was like, how? I understand they want to shed some cap space and they've got 2 good goalies, but god damn, right? I mean, that guy did everything for you for this franchise. He got your franchise on the map from season 1, and you're gonna trade him for next to nothing. And then he was like, am I gonna retire now? Because, and I don't blame him, he was like, what does that say about me? And like Chicago, that's all you offered, that's all it took to get me. Like, what is that? So like he took some time, thought about it. He is going to report for Chicago, so he isn't going to retire. And Chicago is going to be on a revenge tour next year because they had some injuries and they've reshifted their defense. I think Chicago might be a team to look out for next year because that Marc-Andre Fleury is going to want to prove that he was the Vezina Trophy winner, that it wasn't Vegas defense in front of him that did it. So
Yeah,
And
it's
what is your take on those three transactions?
that's definitely crazy. But we got a scoring update in the Nats game. With one out, bases loaded, Ryan Zimmerman at the plate. He had just hit a two-run RBI single. The Nats were down 2-1. Now they're up 3-2 in the bottom of the seventh with two on and one out still. So Nats,
I had a Flyers fan chirping. All right, sorry, Phillies fan chirping me a few minutes ago when they scored that one run, and then they had a person, I believe, on second and third. So they've gotten out of two jams. One of them was bases loaded. This time, more runners on. So I'm happy they were able to. I mean, it's unfortunate they gotten two runs across, but it could have been a lot worse. And as you just said, we're able to take the lead back because of that. I mean, if they had done the damage with the grand slam or gotten some more of those runners on, those two runs wouldn't have been enough right there to take the lead. So I'm happy the Nationals are playing well.
definitely. Yeah, we're going to talk about all the transactions, moves, and this new look Nationals team. Tell me, it's ironic that tonight my job, taking the 20 Salesman Plus Club, they went to the Nats game tonight, and it was like when we got the tickets, we didn't think we were going to be watching a minor league team, but a lot has happened in a couple of weeks since they bought the tickets. They're actually at the game tonight. If I'd hit the 20 car club, I'd have been there tonight also, but haven't got there yet, but definitely will be getting there.
And what are your thoughts on VTech and also
I'm
just getting?
definitely
Yeah,
happy the double V is back because I was, me and Brian spoke about it last week about them not protecting him and the possibility of him getting snatched up. And when I saw it come across, I was like, damn it, I was afraid that was going to happen. And then to see the fact, like you said, the GM made a savvy move, got rid of Dylan for two second round picks, and he's one of those picks to get double V back. I definitely like that. And then Marc Andre Fleury situation, that's crazy, but that might just be Brian McClellan. George McPhee, just still not liking Fleury from when he was at the Pittsburgh, and just get him out of here. I don't care. Just give me
that makes
like
that all makes no sense to me. He won the Vezina Trophy. He's the best goalie in the league. How do you walk away from that, even if you have another good goalie on your team? I'm like, I can't get
the
behind that.
same way you don't re-sign the Stanley Cup winning coach.
Right, fair. But I don't know. In some ways, I think the goalie position is more important than the coaching position in the NHL. I don't know. It's hard for me, especially when he's been so good consistently year after year. I mean, the guy's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. But one other little transaction I see, Brian Brennan's on the line. I see that Revo signed with the New York Rangers because they will opening night want to have some punishment for Tom Wilson. So I love that he still exists rent free in the New
Yeah,
York Rangers head.
I saw that, and I read it was actually an article about it, and it said that the excuse me, the Capitals and the Rangers only played three times next year, and they picked up three so-called bruisers for the opening night game.
And
And
Rangers fans did tell me that like they were weakened fighting physical teams across the board. It wasn't just a Capitals issue.
yeah, but I mean, the thing about it is, you can try to target Wilson and try to fight him, but he got hands, and he has no problem knocking out any one of those dudes. So, I mean, you can go ahead and
I hope they fight again. Revo got the best of Tom Wilson the last time, so I kind of want Tom Wilson to get revenge because Revo's talked a lot of shit on that ever since, and he hasn't had a chance because Vegas hasn't played them since then. So I can't believe that you could be in a division and only play the team three times.
yeah,
That
that's what it is. That's what it said in the article. So, I mean, if that's what they want to do, that's cool. I definitely enjoyed the line brawl last year after the game when he bragged off in there and he was so upset about it. And as I said on that show, if you're a superstar in the league and you're not built for the physical game, don't go sticking your nose in there when the big boys out there getting physical, because you're going to get ragged off like Panarin did. So I mean,
Yeah, don't jump on someone's back that's bigger than you. I mean, that's just like a life lesson that you might want to like follow
yeah,
through.
that was just a bad decision on his part, and unfortunately, Wilson was in the heat of the moment, and he treated him like a little
He
rag.
did a jujitsu move, he flipped him over.
So I mean, but it's definitely going to be an interesting game. One I know I'm gonna be tuned in because I still watch the footage of the line brawl. 'Cause that was some good old school hockey right there.
Yeah. All right. Let's go real quickly. I'm going to say what the NBA transaction was, and then I want to bring in our guests because I want to break down these Nationals ones, and then maybe we'll just go through these baseball games pretty quickly. I know that a lot of them weren't the best results, but so the Washington Wizards have traded Russell Westbrook um, uh, for a second round pick, and a 2024 second round pick and a 2028 second round pick to the Los Angeles Lakers for Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, Montrezl Harrell, and the number 22 pick in this year's draft. So some big moves. Also, some big signings by the Lakers today. They're bringing back Ariza and they're bringing back Howard, which is funny because they've never played together on the Lakers, but both players, Howard's played there twice before on the Lakers, and Ariza's played there once before, but they never played together as a Laker, but they both played together as a Rocket and as a Wizard. So it's interesting that they will be joining um, Russell Westbrook out there with LeBron and AD, and we'll see if that super team is able to win a championship. A lot of also Chris Paul had opted out of his contract and ended up re-signing today with the Suns. So we'll go over some more of the NBA's moves and stuff when we talk about basketball and Olympic basketball in a little bit. But let's bring in Arun and Brian now, and then we can talk a little bit about the Nationals dealing my two favorite players, which is it's rough. My favorite pitcher and probably my favorite position player. Not that I think that it was the wrong move. It's just I understand why fans are heartbroken by the move. But Carol, let people know what happened.
I'm just going to run through the trade deadline. Came has come and gone. Brian and myself spoke about with the Nats getting swept by the Orioles a week before the trade deadline that they were 9 times out of 10 going from buyers to sellers because, as I mentioned over and over again, NL West is going to have three teams coming out for the playoffs. So if you don't win your division, you're not making the playoffs. And Mike Rizzo pulled the trigger on some deals that a lot of fans are upset about. But when the Nationals made that run in 2019, they traded away a lot of their minor league prospects to get pieces to make that run. Now the cupboard is bare. So we had to get some more players to get back into the farm system that we can, train and get, ready for Major League Baseball. So the players that we love, we know, especially on that run, and especially that were performing well this year, their stock is high. So they did what they had to do in order to retool this team to for the future, not for right now. And I'm gonna just run through the players that's been exited, and then we'll go into the discussion and get other guys' feelings. Brad Hand, who I wasn't really a fan of, ended up going to Toronto. Daniel Hudson, closing pitcher of the World Series, Game 7. He ended up going to San Diego. Yan Gomes and Josh Harrison went to Oakland, and Yan Gomes hit a home run in his debut with Oakland yesterday. I think they said that was the seventh time catcher at that as a free agent catcher or whatever has homered in his first game. So I'm gonna miss Yan. I always liked his the way he handled the pitching staff and the way he played at the plate, and he was great throwing out runners when they were trying to steal. Uh, Robbie mentioned our all favorite pitcher and my favorite shortstop. I'm not sure if Robbie loves Trey as much as I do,
I
but
do.
Mad Max and Trey Turner have been traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers. That really because there's rumors that Max was going to San Diego, which I'd have been okay, cool. But going to the Dodgers,
He nixed it, and that's why we had to throw Turner in to try to get prospects from the Dodgers, which kind of sucks. It's like I love Max, but it's kind of a
had to be.
frustrating move on his way out. I'll put it that way.
I'd have rather the Giants or the Padres, but he had to go to the Dodgers. Then they get Trey Turner off. That one did hurt. Both of those hurt. But as I mentioned, they had to do it to get the prospects. Kyle Schwarber, who was on fire in June, was on the IL with a hamstring injury that had him out for the whole month, pretty much. Traded him to Boston, and John Lester, who we had just spoke about, we felt like the experiment should be over and he should be, traded somewhere that they think that he still has talent, which I rarely saw. Traded him to St. Louis, and yeah, it sucks, especially losing those pieces from the World Series team. You know how great that run was. I actually watched the World Series film the other day after all the dust had settled, just to, get that feeling. I'm actually working on a video to put all of that run together, just to culminate with all the guys exiting. I was going to post it probably in a couple of days. I'm working on it, graphics and music and all that stuff. So stay tuned for that. But it was a move that needed to be made because had to get more players. Robbie, what's your take on this whole situation?
That's frustrating. As a fan, it's disappointing, right? Because you fall in love with some of these players, especially Trey, as somebody who I could have seen be like the next Mr. National, after Zimmerman. I just thought he could have had his whole career here, and he's a phenomenal shortstop. And they've got such a plethora of players, they're not even going to platoon him at shortstop. They're going to put him at second base. And I'm like, like, I just and yeah, the Schwarber situation, that's frustrating because like he was breaking records and everything was going so well for him, and it's just that big what if. Like if he doesn't go down and gets injured, if we don't lose those games to the Orioles and to the Phillies, it could be in a totally different because we're not so far out of it. I agree that we were far enough out of it that it was the right call to pull the trigger, but like a couple of those series go a different way, and this we're not having this conversation
But
today.
remember, if Trey don't sign an extension, he'll be a free agent at the end of the season, and it's possible. I saw some.
I thought it's at the end of next season. He was going
It's
to be a
next
free agent.
season. Yeah, it's next
Yeah,
season.
yeah, it was next season.
I thought this year was the last year of his contract.
No, Max's
It's last
was
year of Max's contract. Yeah.
yeah, but it was not Trey's. Trey had one more year.
Hmm.
Yeah, I looked it up, and that's part of why we were able to get so much for him because it wasn't a complete rental. Um,
And it's
but I mean, he was looking for like 400 million in his next contract or some like crazy number. So like, I don't think we're keeping him past that year, regardless. But um, it's just it's frustrating. Again, you lose players that you end up really liking, but I understand from a business point of view, what a lot of fans might not realize is we were in like 30th place for prospects going into this, and we got it because we basically sold the farm to be able to like win it in 2019 with the oldest team in the league. But eventually, you got to replenish those prospects, and it's not the sexy move, it's not the fan favorite move, but I understand, from a GM, and Rizzo's proven time and time again that he's pushed a lot of the right buttons. I know this season everything didn't sort of work out the way we had hoped, but I still trust Rizzo's process, and I think it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. But I want to hear Brian's perspective on some of this because I know he has.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a bummer for sure. I mean, the 2019 Nats are going to be beloved in the DC for forever, and to see all those guys leave is really it sucks. And I agree with you, Robbie. I think it's an absolute dick move of Scherzer to veto that Padres trade and go to the Dodgers. I mean, especially after all the bad blood the Nationals and Dodgers have kind of had over the years. I think it's kind of and now they end up taking Turner with him as well. I think that's really not cool of Scherzer, but I understand it. You're right. It's a business. It sucks to see all these guys go. I thought Turner, in particular, was a forever Nat. I agree with you, Robbie. I thought he was going to be here forever. He just seemed like the type. He was going to stick around and be here his whole career. But it's not meant to be. And yeah, I think it sucks for the Nats to have to go through this. There's going to be a couple lean years, I think, in DC. But we'll see how these prospects turn out. I think a lot of them. I mean, we saw Josiah Gray tonight pitch for them and do pretty well. I mean, a couple of these guys could be really good for the team, but it's going to take some time, and it's going to be tough, I think, for people to forget Max Scherzer and Trey Turner and Yan Gomes and all those guys. But eventually, I think they will be back to relevance again. It's going to take a couple of years.
Right. I got a quick follow up. So, um, there's a chance that you would have only been able to keep one between Trey Turner and Soto, right? Because they both asked for these crazy contracts that like it'd be hard to pay for both, and the Learners are notoriously cheap with regards to paying large contracts, which is fine. It's their money. I can't be
Yeah.
like you need to spend, and it's hard because in baseball you could spend infinite money, as you know as a Yankees fan, but like it's a tough thing. But if you were to pick one, Soto or Turner, you probably build around Soto, right? Don't you think
Yeah,
that's the right
definitely
call?
Soto. I would definitely choose Soto if it's between Soto and Turner. As much as I think Trey's a great player, I think Trey is a phenomenal shortstop, one of the best in the league. I think Soto is just a rare talent, and he's so young. You just got to build around him, and that's what it's going to be like for the next couple of years. It's going to be Soto and a bunch of young kids out there. I mean, Soto's a young kid himself. There's going to be a lot of kids around Soto's age. It's going to be a lot of young guys.
Yeah, I'm just happy that Max was able to play so well for us. I was seeing his stats and was able to win his last game, and I'm just happy I got to see him beat all four of the teams in our division. I haven't seen any pitcher do that before, and I'd have to see it all in one season. And there's be a lot of memorable moments for me. But
I just want to say one thing. Like I said, in DC, when it comes to pitchers, it's number one is Walter Johnson, number two is Max Scherzer, without a doubt.
Yeah. And Carol, you have any thoughts on any of that stuff?
Yeah, I don't think it's really going to be, like you say, that many lean years with this team because they still have talent on the roster. You mentioned Soto. Robles is stellar on defense. If he gets better at the plate, he can definitely, be a nice piece for this team. You got Garcia, he's getting some experience. You got Yadier Hernandez, who, we're going to go to recap, had his second career walk-off for a game. So I don't think it's going to be a lot of years that this team, like, 3, 4 months. I mean, this year they're still technically in it, even though they sold the farm. They're 6.5 out of first, 3.5 out of second, and 2.5 out of third. So I mean, they good at going the hot streak and get some of these young players going. They can still, make a run just to, see what this team can do. So I really don't think that it's as bad as, it looks on paper right now because you have talent on this squad. And I think that, we've seen what Davey can do with all the adversity they faced in 2019 with having the worst start of any World Series champion in the 50-game stretch. And he turned it into a championship team. So I think with Davey at the helm, that's definitely going to help this team, get back on the upside of things than rather dwell on the bottom of the NL East for a couple of years. I don't think it's really that far off, especially with the prospects that they picked up. So I'm always optimistic when it comes to this team, but I don't think they'll be bad for a long time or an extended period of time.
Yeah, Arun, what are some of your thoughts on these moves?
Yeah, I think it made sense for the Nationals to be sellers, especially if Scherzer. The Trey Turner trade was a little bit surprising, given that he has another year left on his deal. But if the Nats aren't going to end up keeping him, this is the time probably to trade Trey Turner because when he's expiring, they're not going to get as much for him. So it didn't. I mean, the Nats haven't paid guys like Bryce Harper, but that has and Anthony Rendon. But I think that's worked out actually for the Nationals' favor, and maybe they're banking on that Trey Turner's not going to age well. And I'm actually glad they traded Brad Hand, who gave up 3 runs again in an extra inning loss. So I think he single-handedly destroyed this season for the Nationals.
I'm glad he's in the American League East now. I'm really glad he's in the American League East now. Thanks for that.
So, I mean, Trey Turner, it's going to suck for the fans that he's gone because I think even if they let him go, like they would have gotten some compensatory picks and free agency if he left. But I guess they're maximizing value, and time will tell if these prospects turn out really well. And you're right, Robbie, their minor league system was garbage. So they need to make the trade in that way, but at least Scherzer. But I don't know, Trey Turner. The Nats did acquire their best prospects through tanking and Strasburg and Bryce Harper, but Carol mentioned they're not even that bad yet. So we'll see what happens, and then hopefully they don't trade Juan Soto. That would be pretty devastating.
Whoa, hey! We're gonna joke about that. We're not even going to joke. We're not even going to play that game.
Carol's going to get serious.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with the Soto thing. They win like another World Series with Soto and they let him walk. That'll be pretty
Nah,
weird.
I think they're definitely working on the deal to get him locked up because they know what they have in him. That's why they signed him on futures contract when he was 16 years old in Dominican Republic. They know that this is somebody you can build a franchise around. So I think that's the key why some of these moves were made with the trade, like I say, with Trey and with Max to get the numbers off the books and everything. But yeah, Soto is definitely a piece to build around. And currently, the Nats are in the top of the ninth. 3-2, 0-2 count with trying to see who that is closing. Trying to Clobasis? Who in the hell is this? Can someone
Triple A
see
that.
who this guy is on the mound right now? I know that Finnegan got 2 saves over the weekend, but I don't even know who this guy is. But he has a man on 1-2 count with no man out and foul tip. So the Nats are looking to try to secure the victory and not have to go to the bottom of the ninth.
Who knows? This game might actually be over at a reasonable time, unlike last week where we called that horrible ending against this exact same team. I'm going to use that as our segue. Carol? Can we quickly go through the box score? I mean, we'll see. I don't know how much you want to break down each game,
Well, they
or
had 4 against the Phillies. They split 2. I'll just go ahead and run through it real quick.
I'm going to get a drink while you run it down and talk to the guys about it. I'll be right back.
Looked like he gave up a hit, so now it's 2-1 with no out. Top of the ninth, man, still up 3-2. And I don't know who this clown is on the mound, but he's not giving a good impression for his first 2 players he's faced. Currently, the Nats are sitting 49-56, fourth in the East. Last week they went 4-3, as I mentioned. They were 4-6 in the last 10. Uh, they split against Philly 2-2. The first game was a 6-5 loss. Archie Bradley earned the victory. That put him at 5-1. He went an inning, giving up 2 hits, 1 earned run, no strikeouts, and 1 walk. Brad Hand took the loss. That dropped him to 5-5. He went a third of an inning, giving up 2 hits, 3 earned runs with a strikeout and a walk. McCutcheon had a walk-off 3-run home run to win that game. That's how Brad Hand took the loss. Josh Bell and Josh Harrison had back-to-back RBI triples to account for some of the Nationals' runs. The second game was a Nationals 6-4 victory. Wanda Swirl earned the victory that put him at 2-2. He went an inning and 2/3, gave up no hits, no runs, with 2 strikeouts and no walks. Matt Moore took the loss that dropped him to 0-3. He pitched 4 innings, giving up 7 hits, 6 earned runs with 3 strikeouts and 2 walks. Brad Hand earned the save that put him at 21 on the season. He went an inning, giving up no hits, no earned runs with 1 strikeout and no walks. Josh Bell went 1 for 3 with a 3-run homer, and Soto went 2 for 4 with a 3-run homer to account for all the Nats runs, and they held on to win that game. The third game of the series was a doubleheader because it got rained out the day before. So it was a 7-inning game, and it was Mad Max's final start as a national, and he ended up winning, which put him at 8-4. He went 6 innings, giving up 3 hits, 1 earned run with 5 strikeouts and 3 walks. Zach Wheeler took the loss that dropped him to 8-6. He went 7 innings, giving up 7 hits, 3 earned runs with 5 strikeouts and 2 walks. Cal Finnegan earned his first save of the season. He went 1 inning, giving up no hits, no runs, 2 strikeouts, and no walks. Gerardo Parra had a sacrifice fly. He went 1 for 2. And Yan Gomes went 2 for 3 with a 2-run home run to account for the Nationals' runs in that game. And the finale of that 4-game series, which is also a 7-inning game due to the doubleheader, was an 11-8 ugly loss. The Nats had a 7-1 lead in that game. Ranger Suarez got the victory for the Phillies that put him at 5-3. He went an inning, giving up 2 hits, 1 run, 2 strikeouts, and no walks. Sam Clay took the loss for the Nationals that dropped him to 0-4. He went a third of an inning, giving up 4 runs, 3 of those earned with no strikeouts and a walk. It was a walk-off grand slam by Philly to win the game. Josh Harrison went 3 for 5 with a 2-run home run. Yadiel Hernandez went 2 for 3 with a 2-run RBI double. And they split that series with the Phillies 2-2. Robbie, did you get a chance to check out that Philly series and when you was disgusted by those walk-off losses as I was?
I did catch parts of them, and I was pretty upset. It was just disappointing. I mean, I don't know. At this point, it's just like there are so many opportunities to do better, and they just don't. They don't take any of them, and it's just they have these. I don't know. For like a couple of weeks now, we've had these opportunities, and they've just let them slip by. And I don't know. It's just. I guess it's getting more and more frustrating, and it's harder and harder for me to watch. Right? Like I really wanted them to do well this season, and it's kind of heartbreaking to watch a team fall so quickly from 2019 to where we are right now. And the 2019 Nationals wouldn't have lost those games, or at least not at the end of the season. At the beginning of that season, they would have. But yeah, it's just it's disappointing.
They made a pitching change for the Nationals, thank God. They brought in Wanda Swirl, who is.
I feel like we keep talking about this like this blown situation, and like we're setting ourselves up for failure right now. And there it is.
Hey, we got to give the live look-ins, man. This is what happens. That means it's chance for a walk-off in the bottom of the night to bring some excitement to the show. So, yeah,
But
unfortunately,
now they're second and third, no outs.
I was just going to say Wanda Swirl is one of the better pitchers out of the bullpen for this team when he inherits runners that he leaves them stranded. Unfortunately, on that pitch, he left it a little high and he got a chance to get a run in. But I still got confidence he can get. I've seen him get out of situations like this before. So,
Carol, it's gonna be a compilation this month of us just being upset at end of games, right? That's gonna be the theme
you
of the.
thinking about doing live shows, man. You get the real deal emotion in the
Oof.
they win and the defeat when they lose.
You can tell that we're real fans. We're not just making it up as we go along.
Well, they don't know that by now. Something wrong.
Oh boy! All right, let's continue to talk. Oh god, space is loaded now, which is the smart move. But
you got the force at home, and then the double play ball. See what happens. But it's not over, especially with this team. They did have a walk off that I'm going to break down in this last segment, last breakdown. After we get Brian's take on this 4-game series versus Philly, I know he was watching.
Yeah, I did. Unfortunately, the games I watched were the games the Nats blew. The game on Monday where McCutchen hit the walk-off home run was a really bad loss that I think kind of like started we got to consider trading everybody now, like gears spinning in Mike Rizzo's head. And then they get the 2 wins. Obviously, the first game of the doubleheader was really emotional because everybody knew it was Max Scherzer's last game. And he pitched really well. He got the win. He was really respectful at the end of the game when he was talking in the clubhouse. That was really cool to see. And then just the last game was just absolutely devastating. They had a 7-0 lead and they blew it. It evaporated. And in a 7-inning game, that's almost hard to believe. And to give off the walk-off grand slam to Brad Miller was just crazy. And I know they won 2 games. I didn't see the other game they won. I saw a little bit of Max's Max's last start, but probably a very emotional series in Philly and 2 really bad losses. Not really too much more to say other than that.
No doubt. Arun, what was your take on this 4-game series?
Yeah, it was like kind of the beginning of the end after that brutal Orioles series, and Brad Hand with another blown save to start it off didn't really sit well. It was good that Max Scherzer had his final farewell, 6 innings, giving up 1 earned run in a win. Lots of fans were questioning if he would get injured, but maybe it helped his trade stock a bit, like because he still had it. And that 11-8 loss was just another one of those blown leads. So it's just kind of crazy the way the season's going, and not a good series or a good couple weeks for the Nationals.
Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap up the rest of the week there was. They faced the Chicago Cubs and won 2 out of 3 versus the Cubs. First game was a 4-3 win by the Nats. Paolo Espino earned his 3rd victory of the year. I put him at 3-2. He went 5 1/3, giving up 4 hits, 1 earned run with 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. Jake Arrieta earned the loss for the Cubs. That dropped him to 5 and 10. He went 4 innings, giving up 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, and 1 walk. And Kyle Finnegan earned his second save of the season, going 1 inning, giving up 1 hit, no runs with no strikeouts and no walks. Josh Bell went 1 for 3 with a solo home run, and Luis Garcia went 1 for 4 with a solo home run in that game. The second game of the series was a 6-3 loss. Kyle Hendricks earned the victory. He's I believe, the league leader in wins. Now that put him at 13 wins and 4 losses. He, with 7 innings, giving him 4 hits, 1 earned run with 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. Joe Ross earned the loss. He's one of his another inconsistent starts that drops him to 5 and 9. He went 4 1/3, giving up 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 of those earned with 5 strikeouts and 1 walk. And Kyle Bryant earned his first save of the season for the Cubs, going 1 inning, giving up no hits, no runs, with no strikeouts and 1 walk. Yadier Hernandez went 1 for 3 with the RBI double, and Josh Bell had a pitch hit RBI single. In the last game of the series, the Nats were looking to try to salvage and win, and they won it in dramatic walk-off fashion by Yadier Hernandez solo home run, his second home run of the game in walk-off fashion. Kyle Finnegan earned the victory in this game. That puts him at 4-2. He went 1 inning, giving up no hits, no runs, with no strikeouts, no walks. And Manuel Rodriguez took the loss. He went no innings, giving up 1 hit, 1 run, no strikeouts, and no walks. Josh Bell went 2 for 5 with a 2-run RBI single. And Yadier Hernandez had a hell of a game, going 4 for 5 with 2 solo home runs, an RBI single, and he comes for 3 RBIs in that game. So the Nats were able to win this game against the Cubs, who also were, sellers at the trade deadline. And so they traded a couple of their key players. And I know Brian's happy about one of those key players that, so it was like the battle of the leftover trade deadline teams. And the Nats were able to win 2 out of 3, so that's a good thing. Always good to end the week on a above 500 and below it. But like I said, I think this team still has talent on it. They're not that far out of anything in the season. Isn't. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to win the division, but still time left. They can get hot, play a style, getting in the groove that's actually playing on a daily basis. And you never know what can happen.
All right, I got a scoring update.
Damn, I turned 1 second.
Yeah, JT Realmuto, 2-run single, 5-3, Philly, top of the ninth, 2 runners on, still 0 outs, 0-2 count, and they struck that guy out, so that's at least 1 out.
I got to go look and see who this clown was that started this whole debacle in the ninth. I got to get his name right. I'm definitely not liking him already.
Oh, this is frustrating.
Cool.
Brian, how are your Yankees doing against the Orioles? Are they still crushing them?
No, they're down 7-1. Tim's gonna be happy about that.
I thought that. Wait, what? I thought you guys were winning 4-0. I was so confused.
No, 7-1, baby.
No. The Orioles have been winning all game.
All right.
Shut up, Tim. Just shut up, Tim.
All right, Tim, go away for a second. We'll bring you back in.
One cool thing though about the Yankee game though is there was just a cat on the field for it just delayed the game for 5 minutes because there was a cat on the field. It was running all over the place. I'm sure it'll be on SportsCenter all day tomorrow, but I thought that was really funny.
What stadium is this?
The Yankee Stadium. There was a cat on the field running all over the place.
Where's the cat? Where's the cat?
I don't know.
From?
I had it on mute, so I don't know anything. I was like,
Someone's just releasing cats into Yankee Stadium.
I was like, am I going crazy or is there actually a cat on the field right now? And it was crazy. It went on for 5 minutes. That's been the highlight of the game so far for me.
A couple years ago.
Cat on Nationals field when that Gabe Kobasi.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now this dude, he's a minor. I was trying to figure out who he was, and they gave him a shot at the closing deal, and he's just came up from the minors. He's 6'7", 270. So I guess he's supposed to be, but I didn't like the way he started. He has Let's see. Is he a closer down there? Let's see. But yeah, he started this whole debacle and looked like another run is about to score now. So yeah,
Oh, Jesus. This is hard to watch. All
double
right.
play still intact. So hey, I've seen this team put up 3 runs in the inning before.
Oh, I know, but it's just
Yeah.
how it's how it's falling apart, Carol. That's the frustrating thing. I
Yeah.
think.
Hey, Robbie, I've been like when you was watching the Olympics, I've been watching this the whole season. So I'm kind of
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Maybe I saved myself a lot of heartache by missing a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. See, I'm immune to it. I've seen it happen too many times already, so I'm not really as hurt as you are right now.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
missing Brad Hand already. Oh, wait, no.
All right, Carol. Any final? Have we gone through the games? I don't even know where we're at anymore.
Really good take on this Cubs series, and Nats been able to win 2 out of 3, even though they're sucking right now.
Yeah, I mean, hard to be excited after watching this, I guess. I don't know. It's like, what have you done for me lately? Like, I'm happy they took 2 of 3, but basically, I hate that Phillies fans are messaging me right now, being like, I love that the Phillies fans all going south again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
No, just tell them we see y'all tomorrow night.
but it's just like, we don't even have anything to play for at this point. It's hard for me to get excited about taking series, I guess. And especially because the Cubs were another team that got rid of a lot of players. So it's not like we're like beating a powerhouse team.
We're only 6.5 out of first. The Mets, the Mets are the Mets.
But you have got to jump a bunch of teams, though. Atlanta and Philly are both above us.
Hey,
Where are the Philly fans talking trash? They're not doing that well.
I mean, I have a friend. I mean, I went to school in Philadelphia. They will always talk trash to me. So, like, you know how it is. You went to school in Philadelphia, Arun. You know they'll talk trash about anything.
Yeah, but I mean, you could be like World Series 2019. What about that?
That's true. I mean, but I guess it's about as relevant as they're like the Eagles were, winning. Yeah, so
It's been longer since the Eagles have won, hasn't it? A little bit.
a little bit longer. But anyway, all right, Carol. Do you want me to go over the week ahead of the schedule?
we didn't get Brian's take on the Chicago.
All right, yeah. Let's get your guys' take on Chicago.
Talk about they got.
I mean, these are 2 teams that traded basically everybody. Like this is basically bare bones roster versus bare bones roster. So I wasn't too locked into this series. I did follow the last game a little bit. I didn't watch it, but I did follow it, and I do think that of the players that are still left for the Nats, Yadiel Hernandez is definitely a keeper. I can see him, Robles, and Soto being a really good outfield, all 3 of them together. Hernandez has a lot of potential. He's got a great swing. He can go to the opposite field. I think he's and he can field well too, I think. So I like Hernandez as a big future piece for this Nationals team. I could see him, Robles, maybe Andrew Stevenson as well if he learns how to hit. Same thing with Robles, honestly. And Soto, all being a very good outfield for this Nats team in the future.
All right, I got another scoring update because even to get a double play correct, they still had a run score.
Yeah, the runner did a good job of delaying the tag so the man can get home. I was watching it too, but it was a good double play. Got out there and then down 4 runs. Hey, anything has happened. The Phillies bullpen is one of the worst in the league. Hey, anything's possible.
I believe you. Arun, what is your take on the Cubs?
Yeah, my friend texted me and he said this game is a AAA game, like basically, but the Nats did take 2 out of 3. Keyboom actually played pretty well in the series. He hit 333 for the series, and I guess he's going to see more playing time given all the trades the Nationals have made. Zimmerman with that key homer. Still the longest tenured, I guess, even though he took a year off, still the longest tenured National. And yeah, it was also Starlin Castro. He got suspended 30 games for that domestic violence dispute. He was on a 14 or 15 game hitting streak, and I guess he extended it against the law. But and then Steven Strasburg, neck injury, was also pretty. He's gonna have surgery, so that's pretty brutal. There's talk he's gonna come back, and I think that's why they accelerated the sell off of all these players. But at least now we have a lot of catching prospects. I don't know. We can't play everyone a catcher, but hopefully one of them pans out.
Hey, Trace Barrera been playing pretty well since he's been in there. So he's definitely been playing well. I think that's why they traded Jan Gomes, because he's been in there catching well. The pitchers like him, man. He's been doing pretty well at the plate. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things go down. But team still quality, still have talent. Just got to put it together and find a way to win. So we've seen them, go on a good streak before. I think that anything's possible when you get a team playing in the right mindset and pulling the rope the same way. Anything's possible. But let's go ahead and go over the upcoming schedule and then get ready to let you guys get into Olympics and some basketball talk.
Sounds good. Do you have the schedule or do you want me to do it?
I have it in front of me too.
You go for it.
Yeah, this is the 3-game series versus the Phillies. No, 4-game series. I'm sorry, starting tonight. Tonight's a 7 o'clock start. Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday is a 4 o'clock start. Then they travel to Atlanta for the weekend series. They Friday is a 7:20 start. Saturday is a 7:20 start, and Sunday is a 1:20 start. Looking like if this team could make a miraculous comeback, they'll be going for, trying to get a first victory of the series tomorrow. But they split last week. Hopefully they can win 3 out of 4 if they don't win tonight. And Atlanta, they're going through their little thing, especially with Acuna being out. They've had inconsistency at starting pitching and in the bullpen, which is unheard of for Atlanta. They're known for their pitching, but the Nats are only 2.5 behind them for third place. So we'll see what happens with this week. As I say, they win 3 out of 4 versus the Phillies and 2 out of 3 versus the Braves. They're right back in the hunt. So anything is possible in my opinion. What you think, Rob? Even though you're not feeling pretty good right now about the team after seeing what you just saw.
Yeah, and I'm messaging back and forth with my my Phillies fan. He was thinking it was a bad move to get thrown out, but it was not a bad move. Oh, he was talking about the 7th inning one. Okay, never mind. I was like, anyway, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard for me to be like, I want us to win games, and I just watching this is pretty heartbreaking. I hope that we're able to produce. Right now, I think my mind is more on the Olympics than the Nats, just because they keep on doing this. And every time I turn them on, they like disappoint me. So it's like it's hard to keep on going back to it. But I mean, hopefully they'll find a way to get some wins this week and win some series. And I mean, they've got to go, like, if they want any chance to do anything, they just got to win all of them. And I just don't see that happening. But I don't know. That's my gut feeling.
3 out of 4, 2 out of 3 put them right back in the race. So I mean, they don't have to go, undefeated this week, but
they kind of do. They have to jump 2 teams.
I mean, it's not like the last week of the season. They still had time. I mean, they ain't got to do it all in 1 week, but they got to make, strides to get out the basement and get consistent in what they do. That's the whole key with them. If they start playing their type of ball consistently, then they can play good ball. And they haven't been playing consistent good ball. Either it's the bullpen not holding the lead or the starting pitcher not being able to, not give up a big lead. But, we've seen this before from the team trying to find itself, and that's where they are right now, I feel, especially after losing all of those key pieces.
My friend said, guess nobody told the people who left early how bad our bullpen is. So even Philly fans knows how bad their bullpen is.
Exactly.
Arun,
what is your take on the week ahead?
Yeah, just I was looking up the Nationals playoff odds. Apparently, they still have a 6% chance of making the playoffs. The Wizards at one point had a 2% chance. So I guess the Nationals' chances are looking pretty good right now.
That's a good walk. That's a good walk by Hernandez.
All right,
man. Told you it's never over, Robbie. It's never over.
I mean, I'm not jumping for joy for the walk yet. I mean, we still need another 2 base runners and then like a grand slam.
Hey man, there's always a chance.
I'm trying not to burst your bubble, but sure, there's always a chance. All right,
Brian, what do you think about the week that's upcoming for this team? Do you think they could get on win 3 out of 4, maybe 2 out of 3, and get back in the NL East race? Or you think that it's over for the Nats?
Well, first off, Carol, I love your optimism. Like, I love how optimistic you are about the Nats right now. That's really good. I'm really glad that you're that optimistic about this team right now. I don't see this team going far with the way they're constructed right now. Having traded all their good players and everything, I just see this being a rough season the rest of the way, honestly. But yes, you are right. They are only 6.5 games out in a pretty shitty division. So if they were to win 2 out of 3 against Philly, or 2 out of 3, even win 2 out of 4 against Philly, and then win 2 out of 3 against Atlanta, that would definitely help. But I don't know. I'm more on Robbie's side on this one. I don't really share the same sentiments you do. I think this team's in for a rough stretch upcoming.
Only time can tell, baby.
All right, that sounds good. I know we want to cover the end of this baseball game, but I just part of me doesn't want to. But we'll see. Do you want to have me talk a little bit of Olympics with them?
Yeah, y'all go to the Olympics, and if anything dramatic happens, I'll chime in.
All right, that sounds good. All right. Well, we're switching. I apologize to anybody that's got any buffering issues on my Twitch. For some reason, my bit rate hasn't been good. Our Facebook's doing great, and I think on Carol, on your end, you're not seeing any buffer, right?
I think I had a little bit on my feed, but it is what it is. You know how technology is.
Yeah. Oh wait. Oh, is it too? There you go. I just gotta. You disappear for 1 second, and we got.
Arun had just spoken of Kai Boom, who I'm not really a big fan of, but he just hit his first home run of the season, a 2-run shot, 7-5 in the bottom of the ninth with no outs, and the Nets still with life and trying to walk off.
Fire.
Yes. Wow. All right. I'm gonna share my screen real quickly, and we're gonna talk a little bit of. Be helpful if I hold on. Sorry, I have to make sure that I can do that. Sorry, I forgot to do that beforehand. So make. Whoa. That was a replay. I was like, was it just another home run? Anyway. All right. Where is my Safari? Here we go. All right. So when we last left off, the Team USA had a disappointing loss. They had to win 2 games to get the spot in the next round. Luckily, they were playing Iran in the next game, which, as you can see here with the box score, let me just try to fix that. All right, see if that works better. And all right. So yeah, I mean, our team is a lot better than Iran, and they were able to sort of just destroy this team. It started off 28-12 in the first, and then 32-18 in second quarter scoring. They outscored them 22-13 in the third, and they outscored them 38-23 for a 120-66 victory, which is very lopsided. I'll get each of your quick takes on this one, and then we'll talk about the slightly more exciting game in the Czech Republic, and also look ahead to basketball in the next round. Arun, I'll get your first take on the Iran game.
Yeah, Iran doesn't have any NBA players. Haddadi, I think their center, was in the NBA, and he was kind of playing well, but he couldn't keep Iran in this game by himself. And Dame Lillard was on fire in this game. Tatum struggled a bit, but it was Kevin Durant and I believe Jamel McGee got some playing time, and it was not even a close game. It was like scrimmage to get back in after that loss to France.
Yeah, for sure. Brian, what is your take on this game?
I mean, I honestly didn't see this game or the Czech Republic game, but I agree with Arun. We're much better than Iran. We crushed them and wasn't even close. He's right. This is basically a scrimmage, so we can get back on track. I mean, the big game is tonight, basically. That's the one that's on my mind.
Right. Tim, any final thoughts on Iran before we go over the Czech Republic box score?
No, clearly this was a get-right game. The U.S. needed to win, and they had a lot of criticism coming their way, so they were able to get an easy victory and hit a lot of shots. So it was good for the offense to see a lot of shots go in.
For sure. All right, next game is the one against the Czech Republic. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Perfect. So Czech Republic actually came out pretty strong, outscored them 25-18 in the first. Team USA came back, outscored them 29-18. Then they kind of beat them pretty badly in the second half, outscored them 35-17 in the third and 37-24 in the fourth. Again, it was kind of a blowout. Kevin Durant became the leading scorer all time for Team USA overall in total points scored across all the Olympics. So congratulations to him. Carmelo Anthony had that record before him. Yeah, but it was just overall a good game for Team USA again. I'll go in the same order. Arun, what was your takeaway in this game?
Yeah, Czech Republic got off to a really good start. And if you scroll down to the Czech Republic, you got Thomas Satoransky, former Wizard, and Jan Vesley. Pretty solid game for Jan Vesley. He actually looked like he was like, I could see why Ernie Grunfeld thought he was an NBA pro, but he never learned how to shoot. But in FIBA, you can just goaltend and jump up and block shots. He posted up Kevin Durant. But Durant, as you mentioned, he's the one that helped the U.S. pull away. The turning point was Zach LaVine. Like, he tried to draw a foul on a three-pointer, but he ended up making it. And Jason Tatum I believe he had 27 points or something like that, and it was pretty insane. And Durant, after the game, said that Tatum is probably going to break his record. I wouldn't go that far just based on that one game, but overall, it was a get-right game for the U.S. They did face some adversity in the first quarter. It did look like the Czech Republic was going to put out a good effort because they were also playing to get into the tournament. But overall, U.S. depth was too much. Durant made shots, and LaVine and Tatum just took them home.
Yeah. Impressive game by him. And you got to figure that Zach LaVine, he is asking for some pretty top dollars right now. So it's an interesting time in his life. A lot of interesting contracts have come out today. A lot of really big numbers. I did see that. Congratulations, you got Derrick Rose back, right, Brian? That was
Damn right. Yeah, Derrick Rose is back. Nerlens Noel is back. Alec Burks is back, and we got Evan Fournier.
Nice. So a lot of moves all around. We talked about at the top of the show that Ariza and Howard are reunited. They never played in LA together, but they played in DC together and in Houston together. So an interesting alliance is being formed with them and Westbrook and LeBron. AD. That's going to be a tough team. I don't know if they're going to have enough bench players, if they're going to stay healthy through it all, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. There's a lot of moves with the Suns. I know that Chris Paul had opted out. I thought he was moving on, but instead he was getting a really big contract for 4 years. So just a lot of stuff going on in the NBA. Let's take a look at the week ahead. Well, I'll get Brian, your take on this game and Tim's take as well.
I mean, I don't really have anything to add. I mean, Durant was great again. Tatum was really good off the bench, and I thought Zach LaVine had his best game of the Olympics so far. Arun's right. Czech Republic definitely tested a bit in the first quarter, but U.S. pretty much pulled away from there. Really another easy victory for them, and we'll see how tonight, or I guess this morning, technically, goes against Spain.
Yeah, it's a 12:40 start time. So actually, just 2 hours from now, it's kind of like we're doing a pregame show, just a little early. That's going to be the toughest matchup for Team USA by far, at least since France. But Tim, what was your takeaway from at least getting out of this preliminary round?
Well, Team USA started to click on offense. A lot of players were hitting shots, and they really looked pretty good in the second half, especially. Definitely the practice time paid off. But one thing that Satoransky said, which is true, Team USA does have a real weakness when they play really big teams like France and maybe like Australia. because when they get in foul trouble, like this game with Devin Booker, got a lot of fouls early and actually fouled out really early in this game. They have to go to the bench to get some bigger players that aren't as good. So potentially a big team like France could knock them out. They do have to be careful because that's really their only weakness on this roster. But if they can hit enough shots, it won't matter. It's just, they're not, this is not the dream team.
Right. Interesting. Slovenia is beating Germany. They've actually been playing pretty well. They were able to beat Spain in the preliminary round as well. So they're up right now by 14 points in the fourth quarter in that game. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, Slovenia hasn't lost a game with Luka Doncic like in competition, including the under 21 games, and so this result was kind of expected, but they did beat Spain, which was more of a 50-50 game, and that was a really good game. They did a box and one, but Slovenia has a lot of shooters, and they were able to take down Spain.
Wow, amazing. So yeah, as we were talking about, 12:40, Spain USA. Also, tomorrow morning at 4:20 our time, Italy and France play, and then Australia plays Argentina at 8 in the morning tomorrow to finish off the quarterfinals, and then we'll see. Who makes it to the semifinals, which is on both of those games will be on Thursday, and the finals will be the gold medal will be on Friday, and Saturday is the bronze medal game. The Friday gold medal game will be at 10:30 p.m., which is a good time for us. The semifinals, one will be at 7 in the morning, and the other is at 12:15 in the morning. So less good for watching. So hopefully we make it to that gold medal match. But that game against Spain is going to be tough. I'll get Arun's take on Spain and what your thoughts are going into that game.
Yeah, the U.S. did beat Spain in the exhibition game. They've had tougher matchups in the Olympics. Most notably, the Kobe 2008 game. That was like a tied game, or they were trailing the U.S. and Kobe was on fire, and they won that game. I don't think Spain is actually as strong. Paul Gasol is 41. Marc Gasol looks a little bit older, but Spain comes to play against the U.S. I still think the U.S. should actually beat Spain because I don't think their big guys actually can punish the U.S.'s bigs as much as some team like France or Australia. So hopefully the U.S. can pull away.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Tim, any thoughts on playing Spain tonight?
Well, Spain has a very talented roster. I mean, the majority of their players played in the NBA or currently play in the NBA, and everybody else plays on one of the best European teams. So they're used to playing against the elite players in the world. And they've been in important games. They played Team USA in the gold medal game just a few Olympics ago and really played the US tough. But I think Arun's right. The Gasol brothers are past their prime. They play guys like Rudy Fernandez a lot, who's not even, NBA standard anymore. So the US should win, but Spain has pride. They're going to play hard, so I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be more of a close game until the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Brian, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, this is definitely a very experienced Spanish side. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to come down to the wire, kind of like the France game did. But I do expect the U.S. to ultimately pull it out. I think the talent of this team will just ultimately win out and prove itself. I mean, this has been a very scrutinized U.S. team. They have to go prove it that they are truly a great team in games like this. So I think the U.S. will win. I hope they do. We'll see if I stay up for the game. If I don't, I'll catch the replay in the morning. It should be an exciting game tonight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know if I'm gonna stay up to watch it myself. I'll probably watch the highlights tomorrow. But I hope that they're able to find a way to win. It's been interesting this Olympics in general for Team USA. There was a lot of promise going into it, a lot of hope to get a lot of golds. Right now, they're in second in gold medal count. They are still number one in total medal count. I know that there's a debate on which is more important, total medal count or gold medals. I'll just ask each one of you guys quickly, which do you prefer to go by as the standard? What do you think is more impressive? Because knowing that you could get first, second, and third, you would get a advantage if you do believe in total medals. I'll start with Arun. Do you believe in total medal counts, or do you believe that golds are all that matter?
Kind of like a weighted system. Like I forget how they do, like 3 points for a gold, 2 points for a silver, 1 point for a bronze. So do it weighted average. That's how I would do it at the end, but I don't know who's winning that, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know either. Let's see. Is that even a possible? No, I don't think I can. I don't think they even let me do that.
It would be even worse for the U.S. though, because we're behind in gold.
Oh, we're behind in gold. Yeah, definitely would be worse. Tim, do you believe in golds or only, or do you like the total medal count?
Whatever helps America. I think probably total, usually, because China wins a lot of obscure gold medals like women's weightlifting and table tennis.
It's
But
tied, by the way, like right now, according to that.
yeah, they dominate those sports. But I think team medals should be worth more than one. Like I think, if you win soccer or basketball, you should get more than one bronze medal total. They should like Arun said, do a weighted system for that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Brian, do you have any thoughts on gold medals versus total medals in the Olympics?
Yeah, what did Ricky Bobby say? If you ain't first, you're last. Gold medals are the most important thing, in my opinion. I know it's a differing opinion from what everybody said.
No,
but
you go
for the gold. You go for the gold. I think
winning.
You have no shame.
Not American.
Hey. There's no shame in coming back with silver or bronze. But I'm just saying, you go to the Olympics to try and win gold. That's the main goal. And honestly, I just wanted to say, if you ain't first, you're last. So anyway, that's my take on it.
Well, no,
that's my take on it.
And it's just, I feel bad because the United States won 25 silver medals where they've gotten so close in so many occurrences, but not gotten that gold. So it's been a little bit of a disappointing year.
Hey, Robbie, I have a quick question about the basketball team.
Yeah.
I've said over a while why I really don't watch the NBA because I feel like the fundamentals are gone out of the American game. They want to dribble for 20 seconds, get to the hoop, and then miss the layup because they want to make somebody fall instead of, getting the ball in the hoop, which is the real purpose of the game. Do you feel that the reason why the American team is having some difficulty because the foreign teams are more fundamentally sound than they are? I haven't watched any of the games, so this is something I'm asking all of you guys. Do you feel like is that the American game isn't as fundamentally sound as some of the other countries that practice basketball and play it the fundamentally sound way, or is it just that the other teams are getting better and it's harder for the U.S. to dominate like they used to back in the Dream Team days?
Yeah, I'll go first and then I'll go around the table on this because I think it's more that the FIBA rules are just slightly different than NBA rules with regards to fouls and I already alluded to with goaltending and just the dribbling. Also, the shape of the court sometimes is slightly different, and the 3-point shot. And so I just think that the NBA players are very used to a specific dimensions, a specific style of play, where other players are a little bit, more used to the international game. And I think that has more to do with it than necessarily like fundamentals. But Arun, what is your take on that?
It's a little bit of the rules, but also like the talent discrepancy is closed. This isn't like the early 90s when the Dream Team beat Angola in the tournament. Now these teams have professional leagues. Some of the U.S. players have not been playing well early on, like Tatum, Lillard, but they've found their groove lately. But it's going to come down to just a single elimination kind of play, basically. It's like there's no room for error, basically, because the teams are more evenly matched. And you're right, the rules are different. I think the bigs of other countries have gotten actually as good as the U.S. or even better. Like the top NBA, all NBA teams were, I believe, all like the first two was Embiid and Jokic. They didn't even make it into the tournament. So, but Gobert was he's kind of the big, and they can have zone defense, the different rules. The U.S. don't have really like a good post offense to take advantage of Gobert, so they could struggle against teams with bigs. And I guess another thing was just this team hasn't really played together that long, so now is the time to shine, and they'll be judged by these few games.
All right, Tim, what is your take on this debate?
I mean, I agree with what everyone's saying. I don't really have anything brand new to bring to the argument, but I would say it's kind of interesting what USA baseball team has done, which is like they realize they can't have the MLB pros in the Olympics this year because of the conflict. So they got guys to commit a long time ago who are minor leaguers that are going to be really good, or guys that like just washed out of the MLB and are decent. And I think they're gelling and they're playing well so far in the Olympics. That might be an interesting thing to do, that they've considered is, if the NBA players are going to keep opting out and we get like the third tier and fourth tier again, let's just get like a full-time national team that's G League players or something. That could be a long-term solution, and they would learn the FIBA rules, that they would play all the weird goaltending stuff all the time. So maybe they'll do that eventually, but I think
I think people want the name players, though, right?
We want to see the stars, but like if they want
to watch stars crush the other team. I mean, it's kind of like wanting to watch like Space Jam, right? It's like
we want the Monstars every other country.
We won't be able to stop Bonga, so with the G League team.
Yeah.
Brian, what are some of your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. I think the FIBA rules are definitely a little wonky compared to the NBA, and it's an adjustment period for a lot of these guys. I don't think it's really the fundamentals, Carol, because the coach of the U.S. team is Greg Popovich, and all Greg Popovich has preached his entire career has been fundamentals, fundamentals, fundamentals. So I don't think it's that. I do agree with Arun, though, that the rest of the world is definitely catching up. The NBA and the way they've kind of marketed themselves in other countries has a lot to do with that. It's very impressive, but it's not good for USA basketball because the rest of the world is catching up. I just don't think it's fundamentals or anything like that. I just think that this is just a really bloated Olympics. Like we've got a lot of, Slovenia with Luka Doncic is kicking ass. Like we're seeing countries like that do really well. So I just think it's just a really talented Olympics this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Appreciate the input. Just had that.
Yeah, no, it's good. No, that's a good discussion. All right, let's take a quick look at. So we talked about golds being important, and so I just wanted to go over a couple of the golds since people don't even know how we were able to get our medals. Probably, I don't know if everyone's following all these different sports. I know that people have their specific sport that they really like. Overall, in basketball, there's 3v3 basketball, which I didn't even know is a thing. We've won gold in that for women's. Cycling, we won a medal. Silver. Diving, we won 3, 2 silvers and a bronze. Equestrian, we won a silver. Fencing, a gold and a bronze. Golf, we won gold in stroke play, which is kind of cool. In gymnastics, we've won floor exercise all around, got silver in vault and team finals. I know there was some debate about Simone Biles and whether or not she quit on the team or not. I stand by the fact that they didn't let her take her ADHD medication, and it messed with her head, and she thought the team would do better without her. And it's one of those things where, like, if you think that another player can take that spot and do better than you, giving it up is actually the right decision. Anyway, we got bronze in the uneven bars. In shooting, we got 3 golds, 2 silvers, and a bronze. Skateboarding, we won bronze. Softball, we won silver. Surfing, we won gold, which is kind of cool. In swimming, this is where we just kind of dominated, and this is where we're a DMV podcast, out of Maryland, Virginia, DC, and Maryland just dominates swimming, and it has for a while now with Phelps, but now with Caleb Dressel, he won 5 gold medals in these games. Ties Phelps's record. Just really impressive. So we've won a ton of golds in swimming, a bunch of silvers as well. Katie Ledecky won a silver, and she's also won a gold in the 1500 meter freestyle. And a bunch of bronzes as well. So just really great in the swimming, taekwondo. We won gold. Track and field, we won gold. 3 silvers and a bronze. Triathlon, we won a silver and a bronze. Weightlifting, silver and a bronze, and wrestling, we won a silver. So these are the count outs of this morning. I'm sure there's still more that has happened tonight, but I thought it would just give people a sense of how the golds were doing and stuff like that. I'll ask our different guys if they've watched any sports in general, or if there's anything that they specifically want to talk about. Arun, any sport that you had your eye on?
Yeah, the 100 meters was pretty exciting. Marcel Jacobs of Italy, he's actually born in the U.S. but moved when he was an infant, and he won the gold. I don't think anyone predicted that Italy would win the gold in the 100 meters. And the U.S. actually got a silver medal from Curly, and he switched from the 400 to the 200 to the 100 meters, and everyone was making fun of him, but it worked out for him. So I think like events like that, that's good that the U.S. are actually medaling in. And China actually had somebody in gold medal contention. He ran the fastest heat in the semifinals, but China couldn't medal in that, which would have been pretty interesting if China actually medaled in the 100 meters. They had never even won a medal before, but the racer didn't even get off to a good start. So I thought that was an interesting one. In swimming, Katie Ledecky, she got a silver, but she was really great in the relays, even though she finished with the silver. She actually raced even faster, and she closed it out with a couple golds in her signature long distance swimming event. So that was overall really good. Top the 3x3 women's basketball I don't really like the format that much because it's a little too fast. They start the shot clock immediately after a make, and so it's like kind of like haphazard basketball. But it was interesting watching the last few minutes, and France was actually supposed to beat the U.S. in the semifinals, and the U.S. won, and they won gold, so that the men's U.S. basketball team didn't even qualify. So I think that's what happens if you send like an amateur team in 3x3. And I think Latvia won gold, but I don't really remember because the men's basketball is actually worse than the women's basketball because there was not a lot of dunking really going on in the men's basketball. So it was about the same quality. And yeah, overall, pretty solid performances. And China actually did pretty well in swimming. And the gymnastics debate, I've seen people online criticize Simone Biles, but nobody in person. I think it's pretty shameful to criticize Biles, and she's just going through mental issues. So,
and also she's like one of the greatest of all time. Like, has she not produced enough for you as a country? Like, often gymnastics, they don't go from Olympics to Olympics. Like it's rare that they make it 4 years later, no less at that level. So it's just, I don't know. It's
like I guess they're the egg emoji people, or just the Twitter. Maybe they're the Russian bot army of people, but I haven't like come across like anybody who cares enough about gymnastics to like.
I actually have seen some random people on Facebook try to debate it on different like people's posts. I'm like, wow, like you just look like an asshole. Like I don't know, like there's not a whole lot to debate you.
Shot from Texas.
Well, my favorite whole thing about this is, I'm a big fan of tennis, right? And so Djokovic was basically being like, you
yeah,
know,
that was another thing.
yeah, he has to deal well with pressure, and
Wow.
then he lost, the bronze medal match, and he threw his racket in anger, and then didn't go for the bronze doubles match. So he left and didn't do a match, which is exactly what he was accusing her. But like in that situation, there's no one to like step in for you. You just forfeit it. So it's just like, yeah. It's pretty. And then I like, because I like Nadal, who sat out this Olympics because he's already won before, and he wanted another guy to win. And it was actually another Spaniard that beat Djokovic, and he was like, you should really control your temper better. I was like, oh damn, he's not even at the Olympics and he's talking shit to him, which I thought was hilarious because they're clearly rivals. So I thought that was an interesting. So that's the only person I've seen in person like say something that was like a pretty big. But like that's talk about karma, right? Like immediately coming back, and he had an opportunity, and I want people to know this, to get one of the rarest things you could ever do, which is what's called a golden slam, which is to win all 4 Grand Slams in a calendar year and win the gold Olympic medal for it. And no man has ever done it before. He had that opportunity and he lost it. He didn't win the gold medal. He still won all the Grand Slams so far this year.
Yeah, he's from Germany, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Tim, any thoughts on any of the Olympics? Anything that you've watched?
I was paying a lot of attention to the women's soccer team, and I caught 2 of the games. Not the semi that they lost this morning, but I did watch the quarterfinals game against the Dutch, and that was a great overtime game. They were able to win in dramatic fashion in penalty kicks, but it is kind of sad that they lost. They're not gonna. That's 2 Olympics in a row that they're not gonna get gold, and it's gonna probably break up the team. They have a lot of older players, so it's basically like their last big tournament together. And I'm sure they're going to be good next Olympics and next World Cup, but it's going to be a lot of younger players. So that was a big story today, and a little bit sad, but they could still get the bronze. So maybe I'll watch that game if it's not like middle of the night.
Right. Yeah, that was disappointing to lose to Canada in that one. Brian, what was any Olympics thing that you're following?
Well, Tim kind of stole my thunder because I was totally going to talk about the women's soccer team, but
you can also talk about women's soccer.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the women's soccer team and the baseball team, because those are the 2. That and basketball are like the 3 things I'm following, because I've had a tough time getting into this Olympics, honestly.
I have too, which is kind of weird. I usually love the Olympics.
I don't know what it is this year. Maybe it's because there's no fans. Maybe it's because everything's in the middle of the night or early in the morning. I don't know. I'm not really feeling it this year. But I will, first off, on the women's soccer team, I mean, I am disappointed they lost to Canada. I kind of got a bad sense when they lost 3-0 to Sweden in their first game that things were not going to be good this year in the in the Olympics for them. Megan Rapinoe seemed really like sad after the game today against Canada. That was the first time the U.S. women's national team has lost to Canada in 20 years. It's been since 2001. And to lose on the biggest stage in the Olympics really sucks. It really sucks. That was awful news to wake up to. I did watch the baseball. I woke up a little bit early this morning. I was able to watch the baseball team play against Japan. I'm kind of rooting. Obviously I'm rooting for the U.S. baseball team because they've got 3 former Yankees on their team in Todd Frazier, Tyler Austin, and David Robertson. And Tim's right. This is kind of like a mix of like college kids and like guys who, were pros but are kind of out of the league now. But they're doing well. They lost today to Japan, unfortunately, in extra innings. If you think the Major League Baseball extra innings rule is stupid, the Olympics extra innings rule is even worse. You start with runners on first and second with nobody out in extra innings in the Olympics. And Japan was able to we weren't able to score. Japan was able to basically get a bunt down and then get a hit right away to win the game. So that sucks, but we are not eliminated yet. I believe we are playing the Dominican Republic next, which is going to be tough because obviously the Dominican Republic is really good at baseball. But we'll see how they do. Japan, honestly, this could be their year. Obviously, the tournament's in Japan. And obviously, we all know Japan's a great baseball nation. It's the national sport of the country, honestly. So it could be their year to win the gold medal in baseball. But I'm definitely rooting for the USA team. Hopefully, they can get there. They can stay alive by beating the Dominican, and we'll take it from there. That's like I said, that's pretty much all I've been watching. I didn't watch any of the swimming. I didn't watch any of the track. Didn't watch any of the random sports. It's pretty much been women's soccer, basketball, and baseball for me.
Yeah, I'm actually been watching a little bit of the track in the background while we've been talking. The Olympics are interesting, but I agree. There's something that's just not as exciting. I think part of it's the fans, and I also really love watching the Olympics with my friends and like in person and stuff like that. And because of like the hours are so like off, and I don't know, I used to like in previous Olympics have people over and we watch it all together, and I just think that like now with like all the COVID stuff and not doing that as much, like it's just not as much fun, you know. And also the crowds behind them going crazy, I think help. I don't know. It just seems like a weird year. Like there's just so many other things in this world that are going on. But I still wanted to cover it. I'm happy that we have a little bit because it is, you know, something it's a big deal and it only happens once every 4 years. And you know, we would have covered it last year if it had happened, but it didn't. But you know, I am happy that it is happening. These players get these opportunities. Hopefully, Team USA is able to get a couple more golds here. I am going to stop my screen share there and get everyone's final thoughts, and then I'll let you guys go since it's already gone longer than I expected. But I'm happy that we're able to talk about it. Oh, I want to get I let you guys go. Your take on the Westbrook trade, and see what your thoughts are on that. And well, I'll start off with Brian. Brian, what's your take on that move? And then where do you see that trade 1 year in from the Wall one?
I actually think this could be a move that works out well for both the Wizards and the Lakers. Obviously, Russell Westbrook's wanted to go back to LA for a really long time. He's from that area. He's from the LA area. So he's wanted to play for the Lakers or in LA for a really long time. So now he finally gets to fulfill that dream. But what the Wizards got is good. Get Montrezl Harrell, Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and then get the Lakers pick in the draft and then flip that for a pretty good player in Aaron Holiday. I think overall the Wizards come out pretty good in this deal. I mean, in a year I still think to get rid of John Wall's contract, it was a good move. And Westbrook was great the 1 year he was here. Like he was really good. Like he was a great player for you guys. So if I was a Wizards fan, I wouldn't be mad about this Russell Westbrook leaving at all. He did great things for the Wizards while he was here, and now he gets to go get his chance at a ring in LA, his hometown, and the Wizards get a pretty good haul back. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I'm a fan of both teams, and I really, when it happened, I was like, wow, this could really benefit both because the Lakers are win it now, and you know the Wizards can flip some of these pieces, or you know flip a lot of different things together and try to rebuild with a new coach. And I don't think that Westbrook would have liked working in a brand new system in DC, you know, especially if he was on a prove it 1 year contract. So I think it's good for everybody. Myself, I'll get Tim's take next. Tim, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, if you would have said before this past season that we could flip Wall for Westbrook and he would set the triple-double record, take us to the playoffs, and then flip him for 3 good players on the Lakers that, you know, at least 2 of them, I guess, were on the championship team. So, after a season to just get in a much better position in terms of the salary cap and what they can do to surround Beal with talent, that's huge. I mean, Tommy Shepard deserves a lot of credit to not only get in a better position in 1 year, but not tank last year and make the playoffs. And it was a really interesting year, a lot of ups and downs. And I think apparently they don't really plan on keeping Kuzma or Harrell necessarily. They're really excited about KCP and Holiday and, you know, the draft, but they do have too many wings now. They have too many kind of smaller power forwards that can shoot, like Rui, who's had an amazing Olympics, and Denny, and now Kuzma. So I think they might make a couple more deals to get another point guard and probably get rid of an extra wing. But I don't know if they're going to be great this year, but I think they might be able to convince Beal to stay and stick with the Wizards a little longer.
Yeah. I want to get wait, I already got Brian's take, right? I got Arun's take. Yeah.
I actually think it's a good trade for the Wizards. They also got a first round pick, and they used that to get Holiday and an additional draft pick. So overall, in the vacuum, they got another center, and Thomas Bryant's going to be out for the beginning of the first half of the season because he's coming off a knee injury in a shortened year. They could use some of the players like Kuzma to trade for like a point guard or even Harrell. I don't really understand what the Lakers are doing right now, like with Westbrook, given that he's not a good 3-point shooter, and usually you want to space out the floor. And there's a rumor they could get Buddy Hield and they could pass it out, but they're still acquiring players. They're still filling out their roster. They got an unsigned rookie free agent from Gonzaga who actually looked really well in the Final Four. So it could be interesting, but they were playing the Houston Rockets series where Russell Westbrook struggled against the Lakers, and all the Lakers are doing was leaving Russell Westbrook wide open for three. And he did have a great regular season, but he's really struggled in the last few playoffs, and that's what it really comes down to with the Lakers is winning a title. But I think even then the Lakers are good enough to win with LeBron and Davis. I think it just makes it a little bit harder. I think it'll be tougher for them to win with Westbrook, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how this all plays out. And definitely they could get a piece for Schroeder, but they did lose Caruso, so they can only sign minimum contract guys to fill out their team. So we'll see how it rolls out.
Yeah, I want to apologize to my Twitch stream. I need to reset my router, maybe buy a new router because this stream has been awful all night. But I think that it's being okay on Facebook, so that's good. It's tough to stream to two platforms at once and also be able to watch it back. Anyway, I think that we've talked about the trade and the moves and the Olympics. I'll let you guys each give your final take and your final say, and then I'll let you guys go. I'll start off with Tim. Tim, any final thoughts you have before we let you go tonight?
I'll shout out Montgomery County's Katie Ledecky. She had 2 golds, 2 silvers. I think that's her 3rd Olympics, and she's been great every time. I think people just expect like 6 golds, like every time. So it seems like a disappointment, but I mean, that's pretty awesome to get 4. And she's still young. She's only like in her mid 20s or something. So maybe she'll be back. And also Japan baseball has never won a gold medal. So if they win at home, it would be huge because there's no baseball in the next Olympics and maybe for a long time. So that'll be really big for them. But I hope Team USA gets there at least.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of the woman who did the backstroke, but there's 2 players that went to the same, or 2 swimmers that went to the same high school. Both of them are medalists in Maryland. So it's interesting. Just drawing a blank on her name right now, but it's amazing that they're able to be so successful. And so I'm happy for them. And Tim, thank you so much for helping us cover it. And we'll cover the hopefully the men's triumphant run next week. And we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
All right, Arun, your final thoughts.
Just a shout out to the U.S. national soccer team for winning the Gold Cup. Good win for the U.S. I think it's really, I helped build that culture back in the day of my MSI soccer days. But overall, the U.S. is turning it around, and I guess World Cup qualifiers start in November. So hopefully the U.S. can qualify for the World Cup next year in Qatar.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I was just trying to look to bring soccer into it to see the table right now. So it looks like DC United is still on the outside, just barely on the 8th spot looking in. They were able to get another draw. So they've had 2 draws and a win in their last 3, and they're trying to get that last spot in the Eastern Conference here in DC. But yeah, it's been some interesting soccer news, both good and bad, for Team USA, women and men. So it'll be interesting to see where USA Soccer goes from here. But Arun, thank you for helping us cover the NBA and the Olympics, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sure. Thanks for having me on.
All right, sounds good. All right, Brian, I know this might be the last time we get to talk to you for potentially a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Let people know what's going on your podcast, and any final thoughts that you have.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys. I released a new episode on Friday this past week where I talked about all the moves in the Major League Baseball trade deadline, most notably the ones that affected obviously the Yankees and some other stuff as well. I broke down the NBA draft. It's a good episode. On this Friday's episode, we're going to baseball, the Yankees, all the usual stuff, but I'll probably talk a little bit about Team USA basketball, and of course what Arun said with the men's national team. I'd like to echo that. Congratulations on winning the Gold Cup. That was awesome. And of course the women's national team. I'll talk about all that. And yeah, I'm gonna take off the next couple of weeks from Sports on the Hill, just the next 2 weeks because I'm kind of busy. But I'll be back after that. I'm looking forward to being back. And as always, guys, it's always a blast. Thanks for having me on.
Yes.
Right. Appreciate it as always, Brian. Enjoy your 2 weeks off, and we'll see you when you get back. Appreciate all the great coverage.
Appreciate it.
Coming in for Robbie when he was out. So as always, appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Have a good night, guys. Talk to you next time.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, I appreciate that we've got such a great team here, and people can jump in and jump out, and we keep the ball moving, as they say. So I really appreciate all of that. And next week we'll have our sort of conclusion for the Olympics. I believe that'll be our last Olympics show, and we'll talk a little nationals, and we'll also talk a little bit of Washington football team and how the training camp is doing with all of that. And it'll be a bit of a slow time before we pick it back up, but we're not that far away. I mean, preseason games are right around the corner. I don't know if you have the preseason schedule up, but I could pull it up if you want me to mention that, because I know that it's soon, right? Isn't it for the?
Yeah, I believe the first game is the 12th of August, I believe.
Yep, you're right. 12th of August. So not that far away. So just 10 days away. It'll be against the Patriots at 7:30. And then the second game is against Cincinnati on 8:20 at 8 o'clock. And then the Ravens, because they always play the Ravens for one of the preseason games, that'll be a 6 o'clock game on August 28th. And then our week 1 game will be against the Chargers on the 12th. I actually have a baby shower at my house that day, but I'll try to catch the highlights. But yeah, it's football's right around the corner, Carol. We're just about a month away from getting into it for real. And
On every Sunday now, so the post game and the pre-game will be live. I'm working on talking to another venue that just opened up that I might be seeing if we can do the pre-game and post-game show from there live. I reached out to Miss Julie Donaldson the other day to see if we can get her back on. I'm in the process of reaching out to Mr. Brian Mitchell to see if I can get a Zoom interview with him. So stay tuned for watching football team coverage. We definitely definitely bringing you the best coverage around.
Yep, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in on Twitch. I wanted to mention that Carly had said in the comments that she was supporting some of Biles. She also thought that total medal count was more important than just golds, because yes, an individual should be shooting for gold, but as a team, like, all those medals still count to the total count, and so there's still value in all those medals, and still being the third best in the world is nothing to scoff about, or second. It's not. These are still very impressive feats. It's why they don't just only give out gold. So I think that's a good point for that. I appreciate her for tuning in. I appreciate Champ for tuning in as well. If anyone wants to listen to any of the podcasts from our podcast partners, sportsothp.com, click on the podcast partners button. you can click and you can get the No Spots podcast. You can also get Upon Further Review with Brian Brennan and all of our podcast partners, sportsothp.com. On the main page, you can get all of our latest podcasts on there, video, audio. I apologize if the video was choppy today. I will try to find a way to make it better next time. We hadn't really had that issue on Twitch before, but I was noticing that today. But I will try to grab the audio from the Facebook feed. And I'm not going to raid today, but so Carol, just I'll let you do the outro.
All right. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in, checking us out. I know I got a couple of new subscribers on my YouTube that are checking us out and commenting. Appreciate that. As always, tune in every Monday night, 9 o'clock, for the best DC sports coverage around. Also tune in Sunday nights at 6 o'clock for At the Bar Radio, where things will get a little wild over on that side. It's not the chill show like we have tonight. If you're interested in the Sports OTH apparel or Sports OTHP apparel, or if you're watching my feed, the District of Champions banner behind me and most of that apparel, go check out sportsothp.com, click on the apparel line and order that, help support the movement. Or if you want to check out the Sports OTHP apparel, partner with Eric Kusa, who's got to give a shout out to them. Got some things in the works with them, some new apparel coming out. Hit me up, inbox me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Use hashtag CP3 is one. But as always, want to end the show with some Renegade and my